Good evening. It's your 360 Global Security Intelligence, and I'm reaching out to you from Nigeria's nation capital, Abuja. I am Dakar Ependu. A lot has happened in the African continent, so we begin with top African security headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari on Saturday in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, endorsed recommendation on setting up an African standby force on terrorism. He called on leaders to muster the political will that will fuel synergy, enhance intelligence gathering, and also bring more urgency in tackling violent crimes. Even as the world's leading military race to adopt artificial intelligence in anticipation of future great power, security forces in one of the world's most conflict-prone regions are opting for a more measured approach. In Africa, artificial intelligence is gradually making its way into technologies such as advanced surveillance systems and combat drones, which are being deployed to fight organized crime, extremist groups, and violent insurgencies. On Monday, the International Police announced the arrest of 3 suspected global scammers in Nigeria for using remote access Trojans, rats, such as Agent Tesla, to facilitate malware-enabled cyber fraud. The men are thought to have access. They are actually thought to use the remote access Trojans to reroute financial transactions, stealing confidential online connection details from corporate organizations, including oil and gas companies in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa. To analyze this, I have Captain Tunde Fatai, retired Public Intel Africa Security Trends Analyst. Yes, let's talk about Buhari backing formation of African anti-terrorism forces, or force rather. How effective can this be?
Well, the fact is that fighting terrorism is global, it's general, it's something that every part of the world has to support. And already, like the Nigerian president indicated, you have the G5, that's the country of the Sahel group that are involved in fighting terrorism in the Sahel region, made up of Mauritania, Chad, Nigeria, 5 countries actually. Mali pulled out at one particular time. There's also the Multinational Joint Task Force made up of Benin Republic this time, Cameroon is also there. We have Chad, Niger also there, and Nigeria. We don't directly belong to the G5 in the Sahel region, but we support them. Nigeria supports them. But we are directly involved with the multinational joint force with a capital in N'Djamena, that's in Chad. So there's a joint effort required to actually fight terrorism. And we have seen that the Chadians have played a major role in this when it comes to the multinational joint task force. They have played a very, very, very active role. And at one time, the MNJTF was having issues over hierarchy, issues over cooperation. One country thinking that they're doing all the fighting while the others are laying back. But that again has been addressed. But I think, and I consider that the desire to use the African task force, or whatever you call it, an African terrorist force to use will be more general and overcoming. They are likely to be able to get a major problem the MNJTF did not get. They're likely to get the funding that is required from international donors and from other organizations. And if it is well played out, it's likely to come up with a strong side, very strong side that can react to the same emergencies. I think major problem is that a lot of people think there's a lot of duplication. You have the G5, you have the MNJTF, but I think if you come up with an organization supported by the African Union security architecture, then we'll have a very, very good.
Yes, Captain, may I ask what is the benefit of Africa Terrorism Force. What is the benefit of this force?
Yes, it will mean that there will be more, it will be more, there will be more, it will be more force effective. There will be larger strength fighting terrorism also. And that is what is unique, because you have to have the superiority, and we have coordinated intelligence also in this situation, terrorism. But again, small countries, I wouldn't say small countries, but countries like Mozambique are also having such issues right now. So it means that we need to fight terrorism right from the grassroots. And we need to get every support from every individual groups. There's a lot of work going to be done, civil military relationship and all that. So it's a big task.
Yes. And moving forward, we've talked about the artificial intelligence that creeps on the African battlefield. Now, how useful can this be for Africa in terms of technology and security? And of course, national security.
Well, you'll agree that we are having our own fair share of banditry, terrorism, and every available means should be used to fight these aspects. But I must warn you first that artificial intelligence is not purely for the battlefield. Okay. It can be used for agriculture, it can be used for numerous other things. In fact, what we really use mainly within that aspect is the unmanned area vehicles, using unmanned area vehicles for operations like reconnaissance, for related operations of gathering of information and all that. But artificial intelligence is very, very vast. It even includes issues of trying to get into computers. So if you're fighting a war, it comes up to this issue of cyberspace also. It can be attacked. It has gone, I wouldn't say it has gone nuclear, but sincerely, the use of artificial intelligence has become very, very important. But in Africa, it's used for numerous issues. It's used for policing too. It's used by the road safety for their operations. It's used, like I mentioned earlier, for agriculture and other activities. It is quite important. But we are looking at a situation where the drone technology has taken over a lot of issues because it limits the problem of being shot. You can't find aircraft being shot. If you shoot down one or two drones, it doesn't make much noise. It doesn't make much. Publicity that the terrorists will require because you don't have humans flying it. It's also very effective because it gives you information real time. So there are a lot of benefits in the use of artificial intelligence. It's a new technology that every continent are happy on using very effectively. The South Africans are very much into that drone technology. The Turkish people are also there. Asians also involved in that aspect. The West has also been there for the same process. So artificial intelligence will always be what would be very important to technology and to warfare in itself.
Captain, moving away from that, talking about three Nigerian scammers behind malware-based attack. How can Nigerians come out of this?
Yes, in Nigeria we have some criminals who use the computer to carry out their activities. They are called Yahoo boys. And what do? They steal confidential online connection details from organization, from individuals, from corporate bodies. This is used to hack and to transfer funds to their own funds or to a fund they can reach out in due course. So it's a lot of there's a lot of syndicating in this kind of situation. But I'm happy that there's a global response to it. The global law enforcement operation, codenamed the Killer Bee, was carried out, and 3 of these chaps were nabbed in our own part of the country. But I can assure you that it transits one location. They can operate from different locations. That's why I say it's purely a syndicate at work. And what they just do is, after they fleece the individual or the organization or the company of his wealth, they now meet, and it's a very, very, very terrible crime. It's a crime that will need a lot of super counter measures to be able to deal with.
And Captain, may I also say that stopping cyber crimes in Nigeria doesn't really seem to be easy.
Well, to start with, you have to beat them to their game. But more importantly, it has to do with a lot of job for the NOA, education to our youths, that you cannot make it, for African youths in general, that you cannot make it through this type of crime. Cheap money doesn't come cheap, and when it comes like that, it ends up very badly. You will get caught. I can assure you there's a lot of research to be ahead of these chaps. The police has a very strong the Nigerian police, I can talk about, has a very strong cyber crime unit. And you can see how Hush Puppy, with all his skills, through proper coordination with the American crime detector, FBI, he was pulled up in Dubai. So it needs a lot of government coordination, training of experts on cybercrime. It needs a lot of research work also. And more than anything, like I explained earlier, you need to try and do a lot of orientation, especially to our youths, who you find are within the group actually carrying out this level of crime.
Captain, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you on board. Captain Tunde Fatai retired is Public Intel Africa Security Trends Analyst. Coming up next on Public Intel is Public Intel Global Affairs. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.